The much anticipated matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl 37.
They couldn't catch another shit. Cannons like the loaded, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming out, so Buck what you heard. So Buck what you heard. So Buck what you heard. So Buck what you heard.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back. And you know what? It's Super Bowl week. Super Bowl week. I mean, just fix your mouth. Say that, Bucs fans. It is Super Bowl week. Can you believe it? And I'm joined by my co-host, KB, Ken Barrett. Not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett. It's really easy to do that, but this is a different Barrett right here. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic.
You know what? And to me, this is one of the most exciting shows right here. My connections with the Midwest, and you know, I've got a lot of friends, and I'm fortunate to have on the show tonight Kyle Henning of the Kingdom Says podcast. Did I get that right?
Oh, you did, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Kyle has a great podcast. I mean, be sure to check it out. They just dropped an episode on February 2nd. Where they're kind of gearing up and talking a little bit about the Super Bowl and all the bullets in the chamber that the Kansas City Chiefs have going into this Super Bowl. So, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, it's like you said, it's Super Bowl week, and for Chiefs fans, this is if you had asked about any of us 5 years ago, this is something we would have never talked about in the history of the franchise. I mean, everybody knows 50 years we waited for that, a whole lot of frustration and pain and recycled 49ers quarterbacks and all kinds of things. But to be back to back now and be back here again, and now because somebody decided to leave New England and go to the NFC and take a trip down to Tampa, now we get Mahomes and Brady.
Man, I'm going to ask you right off the bat, since you brought this up, where is Tom Brady in your list of quarterbacks? Where do you have Tom Brady listed right now? Just as it is, and let's exclude your quarterback.
I was gonna say, are we talking as far as like my only question?
I'm talking about overall accomplishments, body of work.
If we're talking overall accomplishments, the man is in his. I think Mahomes said his 150th Super Bowl or something like that earlier this week. I mean, you don't really have to ask too many questions about the man's accomplishments. Brady is what it is, man. That man has been here 10 times. He's got 6. We already know what it's like to lose to him. We lost to him in the AFC Championship game in 2018. That's where I really think you saw this franchise take a change. So, yeah, man. And Mahomes is acknowledged. When you play these guys, and Kelsey, everybody knows, like, that's the thing about this game that makes it the most interesting for me. Well, I'll just get that out of the way early. Like, these guys are all aware. Both sides of the ball. Both sides, both teams, both sides of the football. They know what this game means. And it's different than most Super Bowls, and it's weird because there's going to be, like, a fifth of the people that should be there to watch it.
Yeah. So, and I've listened to your show, and I know you guys are ready. And let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to get these questions started. And folks, this is what we're doing. We're doing question and answer. I'm the moderator, and we've got KB representing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we've got my man Kyle, more than capable, way more than capable. If you listen to his show, way more than capable of talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to start with you, Kyle. What are your keys to victory for this game? And I know that's very cliche, but I would love to hear from you and hear what you have to say.
I guess for us on the defensive side of the ball is just making it field goals. If you make the other team kick field goals with our offense 99 times out of 100, you're going to win the game. So on the defensive side of the ball, it's field goals and turnovers. Take advantage of some of those balls that Brady puts up now that are down the field that maybe don't have the zip on him that they used to. He talked about his arm not quite being the same as it was when he was in his prime when they were talking to him and Mahomes the other night. So and you're not going to confuse the man because everybody on earth knows that man has seen just about every defense on the sun. So it is what it is on that front. And then on the offensive side of the ball, do what we do. I don't expect to see them run the ball much. It'll be an intermittent thing. They'll run it with the receivers. They'll run it to slow down the pass rush, but that's about it, man. Do what you've done literally for the last 2 years, and that's the offense's game plan is do what you do. Go do what you just did against Buffalo. Go do what you did against Baltimore in week 3. Go do what you did in the first half, week 12. I mean,
okay. And when you look at the playoffs, I look at the regular season as a different animal than the playoffs. Anything that I've seen in the regular season, I kind of discount it and just kind of reset and look at the playoffs moving forward. You got the best of the best, and let's forget about what happened in the playoffs. So I want to ask you, who is the best defense that you've seen so far in the playoffs? Just for you.
See, that's tough. And like I said, I watch every game. So when you go through, I mean, that's your fan base is not going to like this. There's two defenses.
And this is my thing. It doesn't have anything to do with Tampa. It's based on the two defenses that you've seen and faced as the team. Which one stands out to you? Which one would you say that which one stood out more than the other?
That's tough for us with the 2 games we played because we didn't. I mean, Chad Henne played a quarter and a half against the Browns defense. The Bills defense, we pretty much did what we chose to do with the Bills defense. And I think if Mahomes plays the entirety of that Browns game, that game's also in the 30s. So both those defenses, while everybody was talking about Buffalo being absolutely on fire and whatnot, those were just not matchups that were designed to play against that kind of an offense. And then with Buffalo's offense being legitimately one-dimensional because they cannot run the football, it puts them in a situation. And with the Browns, I would say watching all of the defenses, the top 2 defenses actually played in I think the first game you guys played when you guys played the Saints. Or the second game you guys played.
This is just for Kansas City. Like the teams that whoever
our defenses that we saw, the best defense we saw was Buffalo. But that was because that's just the matchup thing. Like Cleveland's defense, if Mahomes is awake and alive and playing the rest of that game, like I said, it's 35, 40 points for me. Like the way that offense, we were moving the ball just as easily. The Bills defense at least did some things to slow them down at a couple of different instances, but nothing too crazy. That first drive was about their hat tip on that. So.
All right, there we go. So Buffalo is your team. KB, I want to ask you the same question. What are the keys to victory for the in the Super Bowl here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Well, our friend Kyle pretty much laid it down. It's keeping the Chiefs to threes. Like both these teams are proficient in the red zone, and they each can move the ball up the field. It's not a matter of who's going to score. It's going to be how many points. The Bucs are undefeated when you hit the 30-point mark. And the defense, I mean, holding the Chiefs to under 30 is going to be a tough task. I mean, like Kyle said, I don't think they're going to run the ball much, but they have an RPO game. We know that the Bucs struggle against, the quarterbacks with some legs like Daniel Jones, Kyler Murray for some struggles when he was running the ball. But Patrick Mahomes isn't going to run it like a Josh Allen, like a Lamar Jackson. He's going to just keep you honest, maybe keep a read option here or there, maybe run a triple option or a sweep out, like just to keep you honest and maybe scramble for a couple first downs, but he's sliding. He's not the guy who's going to try to run for 60. So the Bucs, you have to get pressure and you have to bring him down. And I think it starts with Vita Vea, getting all that pressure up the middle. We saw what it did to Aaron Rodgers. And this pass rush came alive, 5 sacks versus Aaron Rodgers, and he's a tough guy to bring down. And I don't think we're going to really run into many turnovers. Patrick Mahomes is very good at keeping the ball, so we're not going to, what happened with the Saints and the Packers, having those turnovers really helped the defense and sparked the team to, keep spirits high. But it's going to be hard to get those turnovers in this game, so you just got to really keep everything in front of you. Don't let Tyreek go for 210 yards in the first quarter. Like, don't get beat over top. Just play 2-man high because as we saw last week with the Bills, they played a bunch of zone and it didn't work. And if the Bucs do it, it's not going to work either. We saw that this entire season. Todd Bowles in the second half of the Chiefs game in week 12 came in and just played 2-man high, just used the 2 safeties to guard Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And yes, we lost, but they made it a competitive game. And if you do that over 4 quarters, you got to give yourself a chance. And these 2 quarterbacks in the fourth quarter, I think you just got to keep it close. Don't be 3 scores down going into the fourth.
Yeah, that is going to be huge. I think overall the way that Kansas City Chiefs game went, I think there were a lot of key pieces that were missing. When you talk about Ali Marpet, one of your key offensive linemen, Jamel Dean was still in concussion protocol.
Vita
Vea, the guy you just mentioned, with the fractured ankle. And to me, Vita Vea is the biggest part of this defense. And I know that you may not, you guys in Kansas City may not have seen him and you may not be familiar with him, but I promise by at least 10 minutes in, you guys will know who Vita Vea is. Trust me, trust and believe on that. But again, this is just not, and that's why I have to take away that this is just a game. This is 0-0. This is the Chiefs versus the Bucs for the first time because the line is different. You guys have Sammy Watkins coming back from injury. You guys have Snead, who's cleared concussion protocol. Here's a guy that's going to definitely be a key player in the Super Bowl. They're going to get use out of him. So here's another guy that, we really haven't talked about. I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about him, but I know that he will be a factor in this game as well. So that's going to be really interesting to see that. I do want to bring up one more thing is the offensive lineman. I know there was a thing with concussion protocol, but I'm 100% convinced if these guys keep passing concussion protocol, not concussion protocol, but
I was about to say COVID, yeah.
Sorry, COVID protocol, these guys will be playing on Sunday. So, I mean, you got to, whatever Twitter is saying or whatever the media is saying, if these guys keep continuing to do this, what do they call it? Close contact protocol? Is that what that is? Basically, they're going to be out there playing. They're going to be on the field. So, that's a plus for Kansas City. You're going to see these 2 teams are going to be very well matched. I know that in talking with a lot of my friends that are Chiefs fans, they've already punched their ticket and they're ready to get their picture taken with that trophy. But, I got to say, not so fast. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, was were those 2 involved with the barber? Because I know.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
that's right. But they've tested negative, so I'm 100% convinced that we're going to see both of them playing on Sunday.
They just probably won't practice. Oh, he's muted.
You're muted. You're muted, bro.
Yeah, sorry, that was for the dog going off while you were talking. You're probably not going to see Kilgore unless there's, God forbid, another injury on that offensive line because he's a backup right now. He's actually our backup interior lineman pretty much at this point between
6-man,
the Ryder scenario at center, and then he can play either guard spot. But no, it's the COVID close contact, and the nice part is they got it figured out before the other 20 guys went in and saw him for their haircut,
including Patrick Mahomes, as Adam rightfully pointed out.
Yeah, that tweet earlier when it came out and I saw his name in the same sentence as Barber, I immediately was like, oh no. And then I was like, oh, okay. They didn't let him.
Your helmet's going to be on. Your hair doesn't need to look perfect for this one. Like, exactly. wait till Monday. Take your pictures on Monday.
Hey, just wait till you get over to the Paseo and go catch that barber over there and get it done.
Have them on ready in Tampa at 1 a.m. Just ready to go.
There you go.
Yeah. No more close calls.
So, guys, we're going to really dig into this here. The offensive line, Kansas City has traditionally always had a really good offensive line, regardless of who was under center. I want to know, from you, Kyle, how comfortable are you with this offensive line, health-wise, and as far as your backups? Well, let's just say depth. How comfortable are you with the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line right now? At this point?
This is probably going to surprise a lot of people, Chiefs and Bucs fans, maybe included. That's one of the things I did a lot this week is I went back and did a big deep dive on some film because we're going to see a line we've basically seen before. At least some guys in some different spots that we've seen before, while not this exact grouping. I'm not as concerned as one might think because of the depth that they do have at that spot and what Andy Heck and Andy Reid do to help the offensive line. They've done a really, really nice job of that all season. What some people may not know in Tampa is this offensive line hasn't been healthy since before training camp started.
Right.
We had an opt-out on our swing tackle, our rookie left/right tackle, and Lucas Niang. The doctor opted out to go be the doctor up in Canada and take care of COVID and battle out on the front lines with Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. He was supposed to be the right guard. Kelechi Osemele tore tendons in both knees in the Raider game, I believe. So we haven't had a healthy line. Mitch Schwartz hasn't played since Buffalo in week 6, where he played like 3 snaps. So and Rimmers has missed time as well. So we've seen a lot of different guys in this lineup. Mm-hmm. And Wisniewski was with us last year, was the starting guard in the Super Bowl for us last year. He ended up in Pittsburgh this year and then ended up back with the Chiefs through, the NFL's weird things. So I'm not as concerned, especially when I went back and watched what Andrew Wiley did to Cam Jordan in the Saints game.
I hate Cam Jordan. Fuck that dude.
Well, Cam Jordan hasn't done shit this year.
He's a hell of a football player, and Andrew Wiley used to be. And Andrew Wiley gets murdered on Chiefs Twitter all the time for his play at guard. Moved out to tackle and frustrated Cam Jordan to the point where he punched him and went home early. Like,
good riddance. At least the NFL threw him out.
Hey, so Cam is. I know you guys. I know nobody likes the Saints over here. I'm fully aware of that with the Bucs podcast, but he's got and Eric Fisher played that game with a bad back and still held up fairly decent against another guy on the other side of the ball who has had a really, really good season this year rushing the passer. And with Greddy and Wiley and Ryder, while they're out of position, a couple of them are moved around, and Rimmers and Ryder, they've all been on the field together before in this season. So while I don't love it, I would much rather have Mitchell Schwartz playing right tackle and Eric Fisher playing left tackle and Kelechi Osemele at left guard. Yeah, I'm not as scared. We also have some familiarity with Shaq Barrett from his days pre-Buccaneers.
Yeah, speaking of that, how about that man named Mike Remmers from that Super Bowl he was in?
Yeah,
against Von Miller. I'm just going to throw that out.
Von Miller is everybody knows what Von Miller is.
But I'm saying
that was also 5 years ago in Carolina. So there's some things that happen in there. Also, like I said, you're going to get some things. You're going to get some things done for this line that you probably don't have done by a lot of other coordinators, and that's where some of this takes it out from me. Is because after Andy Reid came in at this point, man. Like, he schemes things up to the point where he knows where his weaknesses are, addresses them, and handles them with things that help those players out. That's the one thing coaches and players all tell about that guy. He will give you a chance to succeed because he puts you in positions where you can succeed. So that's where I'm at with the offensive line. I think as long as they hold up okay, and Mahomes does what he normally does, because I don't think the turf toe is remotely going to be a factor at this point. It wasn't really a factor last game.
Yeah.
As long as he does what he does.
That's one of those things. I haven't brought it up because if I've gone back and watched that game myself, that the Chiefs Buffalo game, and he looked just fine to me. I didn't see where it was. I didn't bring it up last week because it was something that came up on Twitter. But I mean, when you just take a step back and look at everything, he's fine. So.
Yeah, they did a crazy thing with an insert for his shoe that, like, some carbon fiber sole insert that took all the strain. I don't know. It didn't look like it bothered him at all. So
there we go. KB, offensive line, my friend.
Yeah, man, it comes down to stopping two people, Jones and Clark. Like that's what it comes down to. And then in Tyrann Mathieu, if he blitzes, because from what I've seen from the Chiefs defense, Tyrann Mathieu tells you what's occurring. If he's deep, they're playing zone and they're dropping back. If he's near the line and he's coming, they're coming after you. And what I love is Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles. They're the guys who drafted this guy. They know him very well, a lot better than any other coordinators in the NFL probably would. So they know what he's probably going to jump. But when what bothers me is I don't think I'm worried about the line per se, because I think they're going to leave Gronk in to block a good amount, like, keep everything 6-man lines, even bring in an extra offensive tackle in some sets. But what scares me is when I see the hot reads are Mike Evans running 30-yard goes and someone comes in free on a blitz, because what the Chiefs are is an opportunistic defense. They know their offense is putting up 30. They just need you to put up 28. That's it. Force a couple turnovers.
What'd you call it?
Get a couple 3-and-outs.
A race to 30?
Yeah, to me, it's a race to. It might be 35 because it's the Chiefs. Like any other team, it's probably a race to 30. But the Chiefs can put it there. I don't know what the Chiefs average this year. I should have looked that up, but it's pretty darn close to 30. And I'm sure they won every game that they scored 30 in. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nope. I can tell you that. No, we lost to
Vegas?
Oakland, or the Vegas game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Raiders fans. I said Oakland, which is
Fuck the Raiders fans. It's Oakland.
Y'all do it
on this show. It's Oakland.
Yeah, they beat us. They beat us 40-32 in week 5 with the interception that ended up being the 2 score, and then we went back and still had a chance, but didn't get the ball back. So,
yeah, I think we can run the ball, and I think this offense, when they run power, if you watch the tape, they average 4 to 5 yards, if not, and most of their breakout runs are on power. But Byron Leftwich loves running dive up the middle for God knows what reason. I want them, if it's a rainy game, I think we have a better chance running the ball. Yeah. And really, I don't mean establish the run, but if you run power at them, and then play action, that's where this offense succeeds. It's succeeded that way with Jameis Winston, and it succeeded that way with Tom Brady. And the blueprint's there, but we've seen just some inconsistencies with that game plan. And some of it, I can bite my tongue on because I was wrong and they still wound up winning, like Green Bay, for instance.
Yeah.
But they lost to the Chiefs trying to do that as well.
Execution, though. That was they made the play. When the play was called, they made the play and they were able to move the chains,
that's just talent too. Like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, if healthy. Scotty Miller, to me, should be the number 3 receiver on this team, because when he's on the field, something happens. But I also don't want him on the field for 4 or 5 snaps, because that means he only has maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to do something with the ball. Yeah. So I just hope we're able to mix everything up, keep the game plan short and simple. If there's 2 deep safeties, don't try to throw the ball over the top. Pick them apart. You play the way that they're playing against you. If they're 2 deep safeties, pick them apart with Chris Godwin over the middle. If they're playing single high, Brady can look off one side and throw the deep ball. I can live with that. But what I don't want to see is us running into 8-9-man boxes, which it's inexcusable the amount of times that's happened this season.
And Kyle, I have to ask you about your free safety, Thornhill. Can you tell Bucs fans about this player and what kind of impact that he can have on
that smile says it all.
So you guys didn't get to see Juan at Juan's full potential in week 12. He played in that game, and actually he was the person they took advantage of to get the 2 touchdowns that Mike Evans ended up scoring to bring that game back to a closer game. He's 100% now. And when he's 100%, it's a different defense. That his ability to play single high safety over the top and cover both sides of the field is very rare. He gives Tyrann Mathieu the ability to do whatever Steve Spagnuolo wants him to do, which is run around and confuse people and make guys and make plays. Juan being back on the back end of that defense at 100%, not at 80, not at 77, because people forget he tore his ACL in week 17 last year, did not play in the playoff run. And this is the defense returning everybody, essentially, minus Kendall Fuller. So that he makes a huge difference. And I would, by the way, if you want somebody to pay attention to on the blitz, L'Jarius Sneed has a sack in I think 4 consecutive games, and they've been using him a lot for that. So that's a guy that you might keep your eye on. Also, across that front, it's going to be interesting to watch what they do with Juan, because I think you're going to see not too high. I think they're going to dare Tom to throw that ball down the field.
I just want to see it, whether it works or not, because the Bucs will take that shot.
They're going, and I agree. I think you're going to see the Chiefs have no problem. Spagnuolo's done it all year. Cover 0 more than any team in the defense in the NFL. Cover 1 Cover 0 and cover 1 are like 80% of this defense's snaps, it feels like. They are fully comfortable putting every corner they have on any guy you stick on the field. It does not matter. And L'Jarius Sneed is a huge part of that because he is the highest graded rookie defensive back in the NFL. And he's dominated every game he's been in. He's made massive plays, and he gives them somebody. I don't care if it's Antonio Brown or Scotty Miller in the slot. They're going to get a lot of Sneed, and I wish them luck because Cole Beasley found out last week.
Cole Beasley, though.
Yeah, no offense. I mean, you mean second team All-Pro, one vote.
I'm not throwing shade or anything like that, but
Stephon Diggs did too. He go look at what he did to Stephon Diggs last week when he found his way into the slot.
No, Stephon had a lot better on the outside working in than inside.
They quickly went and put Stephon Diggs with Charvarius Ward because they wanted no part of him with Breeland or Sneed. So that's something to keep an eye on. Is the Chiefs are going to bring pressure. Please believe they're going to blitz Brady.
That's what you kind of have to do.
Yeah,
you just get the Bucs to.
So you're talking about Breeland, Sneed, and then you got Ward on the other side of the ball. You're good with this secondary then.
Oh, I for as much as the secondary has been talked about them not spending picks on it, I'm very good with this secondary, especially in this matchup. I like the fact that they're going to basically put Breeland on Mike Evans, and you're going to see Mike Evans was 0 for 3 against him in the first matchup, no catches.
Okay.
So I think you're going to see Breeland on him, and if they put him on the other side with Ward's a big body. He likes to be physical. He likes to get in those hand fights and get up in your face. Breeland does too. These corners are not shy. They will press you. They will get in your face, and they will play physical at the line with you and bump you. And that's what Mike Evans likes to do. So I'm curious to watch those matchups with those guys go at it. Ridley will be interesting to see what they do with him. I legitimately think you're going to just see a rotation of guys. They don't move guys around very much. Ward stays on one side, Breeland stays on the other, Sneed goes in the slot, and then they rotate 3 safeties. So the secondary of this game, they play nickel more than anybody, and they blitz all the time. So that's what I think you're going to see. And you're right about watching Honey Badger, but they watch what they did to Buffalo in that AFC Championship game. They were rotating coverages all over the place at the snap of the football because Thornhill and Matthews' ability to move and adjust to reads at the snap of the football to get to where they're supposed to be for the actual play call. Spagnuolo's doing all kinds of things with that. So that's going to be really interesting. I love the secondary wide receiver matchup in this for the Chiefs. And the defense, nobody talks about our defense. Nobody.
Yeah.
Well, they're opportunistic. They're good at what they do. Like I said, sometimes you don't play to what the Bucs do, where they play, man, just because they can't play zone. Like they just rotate. They're gonna find their way into luck somehow, and that's the way I think when you have Patrick Mahomes is kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got Cole Beasley ended up with 88 yards. Stephon Diggs ended up with 77. And then you had
trailing that a lot of that's garbage too.
Yeah, that was if again, it's still you still have to go out and play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when I look at this team, when I look at how they went up against Buffalo, I think coaching played a huge part in that, and I want to kind of get into that here in just a moment. But KB, I want to ask you too. For the Bucs on the Bucs side of the ball, final answer. How do you feel about the offensive line? How comfortable are you?
I thought we already answered that. I think I'm solid with the offensive line. We saw what our new right guard can do. I mean, he held up against the Saints. He held up against the Packers, which Kenny Clark got a sack against him, but Kenny Clark to me is probably the best speed nose guy in the NFL. He's not a traditional 340-pound guy. Like he's quick, and Stenny's a young guy. Like it happens. I think, we got Tristan Wirfs, probably the best right tackle in the NFL. Donovan Smith is going to have some help from Gronk, so I'm not worried about him. With the wide receivers, I think that it is advantage Bucs, but what worries me is kind of what Kyle said, was basically that if they're rotating, Tom Brady, we saw him versus the Rams. They rotated safeties on that final interception to Cam Brate, and he didn't read the defense well. And yes, Tom Brady's seen everything, but a lot of this offense, the routes the receivers run are predicated on what they see the defense doing. It's a lot of option routes, and we've seen that lead to interceptions for this team. Like, they're going to throw the ball down the field, whether you like it or not. Tom Brady's missed Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller. He's missed all of them on deep shots because of miscommunications, and some of them into interceptions. I know that, they might play a lot of cover one or single high safety, but to me, if you're playing the Bucs, Tom Brady's thrown all of his 4 interceptions in the last 6 weeks to 2 high safeties. Yep. Like, this team wants to push the ball, and that it just gets them into trouble sometimes because they press their luck too many times. It's like the game show. Like, it's literally like one of these times you're going to hit a whammy. Like, it's just going to happen. And the defense has stepped up, but you can't just bank on that. Like, Patrick Mahomes doesn't have Drew Brees' arm. Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know what the Packers were thinking. Like, when you watch their game plan offensively versus the Rams, the motion was crazy. Ramsey had to run with Devontae Adams sideline to sideline more than he did vertically. And they didn't do any of that really against the Bucs. And they did that in the same thing in the regular season too. And I don't think Andy Reid has gotten a lot of hate from his Philadelphia days, and he got a lot of hate in his early Chiefs days for some of the decisions that he made. But he won a Super Bowl.
A lot of that came down to execution, though. I don't think it was the play call or whatever.
No, but I'm saying, like, because of his decision making and it not working out in certain situations, people gave him shit for it. But I'm saying since he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I think it came down to execution too. I think it came down to players not coming through like they were supposed to.
Yeah, but Andy Reid wasn't running plays on 4th and game when you have the lead 10 years ago. He started when you have Mahomes. It's a little bit different there.
Okay, so you're both right. You're both correct. Yeah. They did kill Andy Reid all the time. He can't manage the clock. He's a terrible game management guy. He has no idea what he's doing. They can't win the big game. They got that in Kansas City. His play calling has been the same forever. Alex 100%. Smith would not. You could have put a branding iron behind Alex Smith and told him, if you don't throw the ball 25 yards downfield into double coverage, I'm touching you with this branding iron. He would take the branding iron and check it into the flat. He won't turn the ball over. But when you put a guy who completely changes, it is the superstar quarterback, tale as old as time. When you get the superstar quarterback, all of a sudden, you're a genius. It's
confidence too. Like, and you don't. Oops, sorry.
He's been a genius play calling. His play calling has never been the problem. You're 100% right. It's always been the execution, but it's been the execution based on the quarterback and the talent, and it's not been based on the fact that Andy didn't call the shot. They didn't take the shot. There's a difference.
Exactly. And when you see even with the backup quarterback and Chad Henne a couple weeks ago on a 4th and game, like, to get the first down, hell, BA is all no risk it, no biscuit. I don't even know if he I think he punts it in that situation.
Tony Romo,
a lot of teams don't do that.
Tony Romo lost his mind and didn't think they were going for that. And I was sitting there going, oh, I think they're going for it, but I think they'll draw the clock down to the 2-second mark. No.
I thought they called timeout first.
We're just going to snap it at 6 and go ahead and go, because I knew they were running the play. That's the same exact formation that everybody that watched them do it to the Dolphins. They did it to the Dolphins with that formation. They did it like 2 or 3 other times earlier in the year. You put Tyreek Hill on the inside and run to the sideline with 2 other guys outside of him and then running the other way. You're not covering that for a yard. You're getting a yard.
So and again, I just have to go back to that, which kind of goes back to what, KB, your questions about Byron Leftwich. And if we go back and look at the play calls and then wonder if this guy executes, if he catches this ball, if they get the first down here and they extend the chains, what does he look like then, as opposed to getting that drop or a fumble or an incomplete pass or something like that? What does he look like then? So, I get what you're saying about Andy Reid. I'm going to give him all the credit that's due, because you know what, you got a team that made it back to the Super Bowl.
Well, and he also, I think, with just the confidence after the Super Bowl and even if Patrick Mahomes isn't on the field, he trusts Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in those situations. Like, you just can't do those kinds of things and just not, like, if the Bucs were to do that, any 5 guys could get the ball. In that situation, Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce is getting the ball, no questions asked. They scheme something to get him open. And that's one of the biggest things that I have against the Bucs play calling is other than some mesh concepts that we've seen a couple times during the season, there's not many routes just to get people open. Like if there's man coverage, Tyreek Hill is number one read. If it's zone coverage, Travis Kelce is the number one read. Like they're just scheme everything around that and just go with it.
I mean, when I think about this, I mean, Mahomes ended up with like over 400 yards passing, and that's just unreal. And I think the majority of that was in the first quarter.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Tyreek Hill had 200 of them.
He had 360 at halftime.
Yeah.
He had 360 at halftime, and Tyreek had 207, I think, in the first quarter.
I just rounded to 210.
So again, that's why I want you on here. I want to have a different opinion than what Bucs fans are seeing. But when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is kind of off of the questions that we're going to ask, Tampa has been on the road since the playoffs started. I mean, they came out of they lost to Kansas City in that game. They couldn't, figure out a way to win that game. They went into the bye week, came out of the bye week, and they haven't looked back since then. Going up against Atlanta, going up against Detroit, going up against Minnesota, Atlanta, and then just everything that they've done, they found a way to win. Getting into the playoffs, you're talking about the Washington football team, who has allegedly one of the better defenses that the Bucs will face, and they went out and beat them. The Saints were a team that were considered by a lot is the team to beat to win the Super Bowl, including the Kansas City Chiefs by some of your prognosticators, whoever they were. And then, they go out and they beat Green Bay. When you've looked at this, and I don't know how much you've looked at Tampa, I know that you've pretty much focused a lot more on Kansas City, but does any of this raise any kind of concern for you, the way Tampa has gone about getting into the Super Bowl versus how the Kansas City Chiefs have gone about getting into the Super Bowl?
So I think that's an interesting point, because if you remember the narrative around Kansas City all the way up into the playoffs, they're not winning by enough games. They're not winning by enough points. There's not enough possession gaps. Okay. So it's definitely an interesting
it wasn't like they were number one.
I would say narrative,
it wasn't like they were a number one seed and they beat the hell out of everybody that you put in front of them. This was
NFL,
a team,
man.
Yeah, and again, this is just questions that I have for you, as a Chiefs person that, goes back and watches film, and, you kind of have an idea of what's going on. When you look at how Tampa made their path to the Super Bowl, does that give you any cause for concern at all?
So I think the bye week and their adjustments that they made on the offensive side of the football since the bye week, if you go back and look at their offense before the bye week, they ran motion the lowest percentage of any team in the NFL 100%. By like.
Look at this guy. He doesn't even follow this team. He knows.
So by almost, I think at one point it was like they used motion on like 2% of plays before the bye week, I think was what the number was I saw or some point. I think there was one game they used motion on one snap, like one time. Now, what motion does is what Andy Reid uses it for. It slows down the pass rush, because when you have playmakers in motion, i.e. Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, going on end rounds, if that guy's going that way, and there's a guy going that way, and you have to worry about Mahomes having the ball, and there's two guys going downfield, that pass rush has 7 things to focus on in 5 seconds. The other thing it does is it helps you identify the defense, which is how you can identify what people are in earlier on in the game. Since the bye week, Tampa has started using emotion a lot more. Now, level of opponent to wrap up the regular season wasn't exactly murderer's row, but you have to win games. It doesn't matter. In the NFL, you win the games that are on your schedule. So while I'm not exactly blown away with how they played against football team or in the playoffs, they took care of Green Bay, although I have Green Bay did some things in that game
that's what I mean, man. It's just mind-blowing.
You kicked a field goal with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, got it.
But ultimately, it's a matter of going out and taking care of business.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think, with that part of it, I don't have, like I said, they won the game. And when you're playing Tom Brady in a Super Bowl, I don't care what team he's on. I don't care how old he is. The dude is really, really good at football, especially now. People will say he's played poorly in the Super Bowl in some games and he's been carried. Yeah, welcome to literally every player in the history of the earth. Patrick Mahomes didn't play good for 3.5 quarters last year. You know what he did play good for? 6 minutes and 58 seconds. Did you know what it took to win the game? 6 minutes and 58 seconds. That's the hardest thing. And KB said it before, 20 minutes ago. You have to play 60 minutes of football against this Chiefs team, because the comparison you've heard all week on the national media is the Golden State Warriors. And as silly as it sounds, they score points like nothing. It doesn't take – go ask Houston. Go ask Oakland, Vegas. Oakland at the time, Vegas now. Go ask the Bills, the
Tennessee
Texans,
last year,
the Titans, 49ers. Like, it is what it is. They, in a second, Robert Saleh's face on the sideline after they hit Wasp told you everything you needed to see.
Then they scored 21 points in 4 minutes against the Bills last week.
Yeah. So while I'm not worried by any chance, you're playing Tom Brady, and that's a very good defense. Like, that defense is very good. I have questions a little bit in the secondary, just based on some things that we've seen before and we saw down the stretch in the other games at a couple of positions. And it's more, I think, what Todd Bowles decides to do, less about the positions of the players and who's 100%. At the position. But if they're going to have things go right for them to win this game. It just is what it is.
Do you think the weather is one of them?
I don't.
Okay. I mean, I've never, when I think on my head, I've seen Mahomes play snow games, but I don't think I've ever seen him play rain games.
He's played in the rain. He played in the rain earlier this year once, I think, or twice. He's played in inclement weather before. Rain makes it a little more difficult because it's stuff slick, where snow is more slick on the ground and all that kind of stuff, and the ball pretty much stays dry. But I think you go straight to RPO games if it's raining, personally. And then you get the RPO and the quick passing game, and then you'll see Andy Reid's screen game, which he's left in his back pocket for 16 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up later, because I have not seen many screens from them, but they have the personnel to do it.
And Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been, for whatever he was supposed to be, we all talked about on everywhere you want to talk in the Chiefs network forever and ever, all preseason, all season, they're going to start throwing the ball at some point. Well, we're at some point.
Yeah,
so
you just may see it. Well, I want to get back to the questions, because I still got quite a few here, but we may have to skip a few because we've gotten some really good content here. Again, guys, my man Kyle. Sorry about that.
Carl.
It's all good. I get Tyler more than I get Carl, but I'll take it.
Okay, my man Tyler here. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I do want to talk about the head coach. What kind of impact, you as a longtime Kansas City Chiefs fan, what kind of impact has Andy Reid made, on the Chiefs kingdom, just as opposed to some of the other horrible coaches that you've had there?
So it's really weird, because we've had some really good coaches, but not at good points in their career for some of those guys. And then we've had some really bad coaches. And then we have this guy who, look, you want to talk about things changing around a franchise when somebody walks in the door. That man, the second the Hunt family, Clark, and you got to give Clark all the credit in the world, because he had interviews scheduled in Arizona. He had interviews scheduled in somewhere else. Clark Hunt jumped the line, put him on a flight, got him to Kansas City, and they never let him leave. And it was the best decision they've made, because also he's influenced the front office. Brett Veach is his guy from back in Philly. Their scouting department, the organization, the culture, how they do things. You hear about players, coaches, and you hear about coaches, and you hear about this and that. Well, Andy, to me, is the ultimate of both. He's a player's coach. And if you go listen to last year when everybody was rooting for him to get a Super Bowl, and I mean Literally every person that came into contact with that man that was not associated with the 49ers wanted that man to win a Super Bowl.
I want him to win so he can go to Gates and Son and get some barbecue.
Man, cheeseburgers. It's all cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers, right? He'll
go to Gates. He loves him some barbecue, but cheeseburgers first. Then we get to the barbecue. It's fine. But no, like that, they love this dude. Guys that have left that franchise, Marcus Peters loves that man. And that dude, Kareem Hunt, loves that man. For reasons that are obvious to anybody that's been around that guy or talked to him or watched him interact with people and how he handles things, it's such a different mindset. I think it shows you more about what it takes in the NFL, because it's more about being a well-run organization and a good franchise with leadership from top down, and it starts with a guy that can bring it all together, and you can't ask for anything better than Andy Reid. And then you add in the part where he's literally an offensive wizard, and that makes it fun.
Well, he finally got a quarterback he can be an offensive wizard with. So I think that plays a huge part in this.
Well, and Patrick Mahomes was the 10th pick. 19's passed on him, and they traded up for him. So
17 picks. 17. That's
what I'm saying.
With Buffalo.
Yeah, they earned that L.
With the Bills. Josh Allen's great. And if you listened to ESPN last week, they had the quarterback advantage.
Yeah, that whole I know what you're talking about, the screen.
I'll let you guys figure out how that went.
I'm gonna go this route here. I don't watch ESPN. I don't watch NFL Network. I don't watch CBS Sports. And KB will tell you, I don't watch any of that stuff. I watch local. Mm-hmm. Like your show, I would watch your show just to know who these players are or what these players' strengths are or what to look for. I would watch a podcast over some of these clowns because of, just the shit they spew. And that's just
Steve
basically
Smith about the Bucs is all I'm going to say.
Yeah. He's wearing that tight ass yellow shirt with the rear chokehold look like. And, he's saying the Bucs are going to get ran out of town in, the first game they play. But
he had to apologize for that. That just says everything at NFL is like, what the fuck?
But again, here's what I'm gonna say. The Bucs, we have a great organization here as well. I love our coach. I love the coaching staff they have here. To kind of speak to what you have.
I love Bruce Arians.
The fact that you bring in a quarterback like a Tom Brady, who is the GOAT, and what they were able to accomplish. And, what's interesting about this, it wasn't just Tom Brady coming in here. It was Tom Brady, Byron Leftwich, and it was, Bruce Arians all coming together. It was that marriage to bring about the offense that you started to see after the bye week. I want to shout you and your partner out because you guys talked about Eric Bieniemy. You guys talked about Byron Leftwich. You guys talked about Todd Bowles and the fact that none of these guys even got a sniff of an interview. And the fact
just an interview, like
the fact that you brought this up is to me, it's a problem. I think the Rooney Rule. I think every NFL owner has said, "Fuck you."
Well,
Rooney.
and then now you have the if you hire a black head coach, you get a 3rd round pick to the team that gave him away.
You fucking
and two
3rd round picks.
No, I thought that was only for GM was 2. Or do I have it flipped?
I believe it doesn't matter. I believe it's front office or coaches. If you hire a black head coach from another team or a black GM from another team, that other team gets 2 compensatory picks. I think 1 in 1 year and 1 in the next year, or I don't remember how it works exactly.
4 acres and a mule, man.
Right. So I think the biggest problem I have with the purpose behind why they decided to do the things they decided to do, the spirit of it is fine. The execution of it and the actual thought process of it leaves so many holes. I am glad that they didn't, at least when they gave it to the team that they're hiring from, it rewards the team that developed them versus, I hired this guy just to get the 2 draft picks. That's where I would have had more of an issue with it. But the Rooney Rule, they literally interview guys just to say they did it. And that
Todd Bowles decided not to interview with literally Philadelphia because he knew he wasn't going to fucking get
They didn't even request Eric Bieniemy for an interview in Philly. The Texans had to be...
Deshaun had to throw a fit.
I've talked about the Eric Bieniemy to the Texans situation. I said from Jump Street, if my name is Eric Bieniemy and they want me to do that job, the request A on my sheet is Jack Easterby is no longer with that organization. Flat, period, end of story. He's not in Calvin McNair's inner circle. He's not his friend. He doesn't have his cell phone number. Banished, blocked. I don't care. I don't want him anywhere near that franchise because you can't. They had to have the star quarterback throw a temper tantrum to get them to even pretend like they wanted to interview him. Then they interviewed him and never talked about him again. And then they went out and hired, and this is no slight against David Culley. Nothing against the man. From all reports, 40 years in the league, great dude, nice man, wonderful, all that in the world, whatever. He was the receivers coach in Kansas City when we didn't catch a touchdown pass for an entire season.
0.
None. Not one. He left Kansas City. He was in Philly for 20 years with Andy Reid, basically. He left Kansas City. He never got a coordinator job. All the things you heard about Bieniemy, everything you heard about Bieniemy, doesn't call plays, this, that, and the other thing. I really hope that he does well. I don't think there's a chance on earth he has a prayer with the way that organization is set up.
No.
And that they're going to basically have to trade Deshaun Watson now, or he's going to sit out. I don't think there's any way on earth he walks in that door. And J.J. Watt's gone too. So the part that bugs me the most about Leftwich is he didn't get an interview from anybody.
Can I talk about Leftwich real quick? So I'm gonna talk a story about this one coordinator who went to Denver. No one had ever really heard of this guy. He gets Peyton Manning, who basically virtually brings over his entire offense. Make one Super Bowl and win another. Then this man gets hired to Miami to be a head coach.
And then he went and dropped
and then he sucks. And then he goes to the Jets. Yeah. This man who has not succeeded in any way, if I showed you Byron Leftwich's resume and Adam Gase's resume prior to him being hired by the Dolphins, Adam Gase would have had 10 interviews.
Easily.
I mean, and I'm not I want the NFL to be inclusive. These two staffs, Andy Reid and Bruce Arians, are miles ahead of any organization. They developed these coaches. Bruce Arians wanted Byron, as soon as he was done as a player, to be a QB coach to get into coaching. Andy Reid's done that with other coaches. Deuce Staley, I believe, is a running backs coach in the NFL. These are all guys who have
Detroit. Dan Campbell hired him.
I mean, and look at Dan Campbell. He's a freaking cannibal. The guy's talking about biting knees and shit.
Brandon Staley was a systematic
for 1 year. Is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
if Adam Gase can get jobs, anyone should be able to.
Well, on the Adam Gase front, not only did he get those jobs, he also was clearly on drugs in his Jets press conference and was still allowed to coach the team for 2 years.
So does the Eagles head coach. Staley was a coach for...
Oh,
that was just bad, I know.
Brandon Staley was a defensive coordinator for the Rams for 5 minutes with the most talented defense in the NFL, and he got a head coaching job.
I don't know. I think Staley did a lot of things schematically.
He was there for a year.
Yeah.
1 year.
And I see what your point is, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Matt LaFleur got hired because he had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay.
Once.
One time in 2012. Cliff Kingsbury got hired because he coached Patrick Mahomes to an under 500 record at Texas Tech with Baker Mayfield and Mahomes in the same franchise.
And Kyler Murray.
And then they get rid of Josh Rosen and bring in Kyler Murray. That's the Patrick Mahomes effect.
Go back. Steve Wilkes got 15 minutes in Arizona to try to make an impact before they threw him out the door with Josh Rosen in 45 seconds. They didn't give that man a chance. That's the biggest issue I have. I don't care what color, creed, whatever. Hire the best candidate for the job. And 100%. you cannot tell me after watching, we heard Eric Bieniemy doesn't interview well. Did you watch the press conferences for Cipriani and Philly and Dan Campbell? And what are we talking about?
Somebody's arm off and shit.
What are we talking about? I can't do it anymore because they were trying to make this better, and the rest of the owners just flat out were like, "Yeah, nope." And I think the conversation, the biggest problem is, and you've heard Andy talk about this. If you've listened to him talk about Bieniemy, he said, "I think the biggest thing is hiring a head coach. You have to have a connection with these guys." Well, here's the problem: It's a bunch of old white dudes doing the hiring, and they're not going to immediately connect with a younger black
African American. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't even black, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. Like I'm the Saleh hiring. How long did that take? Why did it take that long? Robert Saleh should have had a job last year.
So it should be enemy.
But he didn't.
And I want to bring up Todd Bowles just real quick because we've hit on
he should have a job.
And the enemy. And Todd Bowles has a personality that I understand people don't like because he's very blah Belichickian, like, which is fine. But have you seen what this Bucs defense looked like before he came here?
I'll be very surprised if he doesn't get another shot. Todd Bowles deserves another shot at the head.
Well, I think he's BA's heir apparent. That's what I'm hoping also as a Bucs fan.
You have to look at what Todd Bowles went through with the Jets. And I don't think he was given a fair
a bad GM.
With
Joe Douglas is doing great things. If he had Joe Douglas, Todd Bowles has a chance.
Yeah. That franchise was basically what Arizona was. That was basically what Arizona was for Steve Wilkes. Todd Bowles had no chance in New York. None whatsoever. They
had good defenses. They beat the Patriots.
Yeah, they just didn't have anything on the offensive side of the football that resembled an NFL offense.
So
I'm
we digress.
Frustrated. I'm sorry.
We've really gone down the rabbit hole
football.
here.
We're talking about football now.
Sorry about that. It's just absurd that this coaching staff with these groups, even off our own coaching staff, I love Mike Kafka, but you can't tell me that Mike Kafka has a better resume than Eric Bieniemy. You can't. I'm sorry. You flat out can't.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to kind of skip a few questions here because we kind of rolled down the rabbit hole a little bit.
I think it's a necessary rabbit hole. It is talked about, but it's not talked about.
We haven't really gotten in depth in this. Kyle, who is your offensive MVP? I mean, up to this point, we're not talking Super Bowl. We're talking at this point, we're talking at the beginning of the season, up to this point, who is your offensive MVP?
Are we excluding quarterbacks for the sake of this discussion? Because that feels really easy.
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Honestly, man, it's the greatest season in the history of anyone at the position, and he should have been Offensive Player of the Year, not for Derrick Henry's 2,000 yards. Travis Kelce, and I don't even think it's a question.
All right, I like that. KB, who is your offensive MVP for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Tristan motherfucking Wirfs. This man should have Rookie of the Year nominations. At least some votes. I mean, quarterbacks should win. Justin Herbert should win.
And I want to say this right here. When he went up against Khalil Mack, there was one play that vilified Tristan Wirfs. But if you watch that whole fucking game, he handled that.
And that also was a late after the whistle hip toss, which that just shows how strong Khalil Mack is.
Hey, dude's a freak.
But he's a once-in-a-decade player. And what I'm saying is, if you look at the game,
that's the only sack he's allowed, Gene. The only one.
I think he's going to see a lot of Mike Dana and not a lot of Frank Clark. That's what I think.
And I wouldn't. You put him against Donovan Smith.
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to see. That's fully what I think you're going to see. And I also think you're going to see Chris Jones lined up over the gentleman you mentioned earlier. But
that's interesting.
Good luck, bud.
Good luck. Do the Chiefs ever put Clark and Jones on the same side?
Yeah, they did it a ton at the beginning of the year, and people were rotating. So at one point, they were blocking the Chiefs by using 4 offensive linemen to block those 2 guys and leaving a running back, a tight end, and 1 lineman to block everybody else that came. That's what they were doing to the Chiefs defense at one point because they were lining up next to each other. The problem is your 2 weakest points for the defense to attack are side by side.
All right. So next question, real simple. Who is your defensive MVP? Same scenario.
Which nickname would you like? He's got 4.
Does he not give a shit?
Not named Chris Jones.
Yeah, he doesn't. You're correct. He does not give a shit. In fact, Honey Badger landlord don't give a damn rent due. It's he is the heartbeat of that defense. He keeps that defense at level headed. He makes sure all the play calls, especially on that back end, that secondary, boy. The reason that they're as good as they are and that they do the things that they do, yes, a lot of them have different skill sets to complement. That is the unquestioned leader of that group. And he is the best. When Ed Reed says Ed Reed he sees Ed Reed in him, I'm good. I'll take it.
Can't argue with that. KB.
For me, I'm going to go co-MVPs. I'm going to cheat a little bit. We saw what Vita Vea can do for a pass rush, but similar to how our friend Kyle was talking about Juan Thornhill, Antoine Winfield Jr. has done that to this defense. I think Carlton Davis would be an answer a lot of people would say because he shuts down, wide receivers, which is great. But Vita Vea engages a pass rush, and Antoine Winfield, we saw with the safeties last year how bad they were, and having that one guy who can be single high and be trusted, and what that can really do to the 8 people in front of them. And I think those two in tandem both were injured this season a little bit, and now they're healthy. So we need them both.
I was going to ask, are they healthy? Because Jamel Dean I saw is back. Now, Winfield Jr., is he actually going to make it and play?
Oh, yeah, he already practiced today.
Okay, good.
Bro,
I want to see everybody line up.
Decision
on both sides of the ball. On both sides of the ball, anybody that's questionable is playing in the Super Bowl.
Trust
and believe.
And I want full everybody that can play. That's at that. Nobody on earth wants to watch Chad Henne and Blake Bortles play against each other in the Super Bowl. Now, do the same thing for every position on the field and think about it. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. You don't want backups in this game if you don't have to. You want to watch these two teams go at it.
Exactly. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. I don't want people 10 years from now saying, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes went to go get a haircut and got COVID, so he wasn't allowed to play."
Yeah, exactly. Then you got to put that little asterisk out there or whatever. Yeah, whatever.
And you have to address it anytime you ever bring it up. Oh, you're a Bucs fan. Oh, you got lucky that one time Patrick Mahomes got COVID.
Yeah. And it goes the other way for if it was AB or Brady or whoever, if it's Brady or Evans I don't want those. I want those guys to play. Now, do I think that anybody that's questionable is 100% healthy in this game? Hell no.
We'll see, man. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot to keep him off the field, and that's what it's all about, my friend. Next question for you: who is the strength of your special teams?
Ooh,
who's your MVP?
God. Which I guess it depends on the phase, but for all three phases,
what is if you were thinking of your special teams, what is the number one thing you think?
I say special teams. Who pops in your head?
Yeah, that's
the unit that has to perform at their best.
Special teams. I say special teams. Who pops in your head?
God, again, it depends on if he's healthy. Dorian O'Daniel's been great all year. But I don't even know if he's going to see the field. The unit on the special teams that needs to be as locked in and be as nailed in as they have to be is Harrison Butker, Tommy Townsend, and Jason Winchester, which is the field goal assembly unit. The only thing they've ever missed all season is anything that has 33 yards attached to it. I don't care if it's an extra point or a field goal. I am to the point where they take a false start on extra points just to kick it from 38 and not 33 or whatever the distance.
You say that, then he misses, and then you have a Matt Gay situation on your hands.
At this point, he's missed them anyway. He's good from 55 more often than he's good from 35, and it makes no sense to me.
There you go. And KB, who's the Ryan Suckup of this team? I mean, the special team. Did I say Ryan? No, you know what I mean. Who's the Ryan Suckup?
It's Ryan Suckup, but I would love AB to be returning kicks. I'm just because we already know it's Suckup, so I'm just going to say something else. I want AB to be returning kicks, but I just want to shout out Jaden Mickens. If he can even replicate half of what he did 2 weeks ago against the Packers, I haven't seen a returner do what he did for the Bucs.
Make a brisket. I will smoke a brisket for him if he can do that for us.
That's what I mean.
I was caught off guard by the Suckup. I shouldn't have been, but I was.
Perfect.
I am on the Ryan Suckup apology tour right now.
Minus the Detroit game, he's been perfect. A couple of his kicks have been blocked from Hay. That's it.
He's royalty. He's Bucs royalty now. So stop it.
Chiefs fans had him first and are familiar with him. So
we also took Santos from you, and he went off and kicked the game winner against us.
He's doing his thing in Chicago right now, over in the Bahamas, watching us all play in the Super Bowl. So
yes, he is.
Enough about that. But Ryan Suckup, apology tour. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I should have never doubted you coming into Tampa.
Every podcast, this is must-have.
Yeah, this is the Ryan Suckup apology tour, and you'll just have to bear with me here.
Hey, man,
I'm sorry, and I'm proud of what you've done. Please forgive me. Oh, but go ahead.
I get it. Suckup is a guy that spent some time in Kansas City, and
Oh yeah, we know.
Chiefs fans enjoyed him until they didn't, and then when they didn't, bye. Like kicker is the one position in the sport where it's like, oh yeah, you were great on Sunday. You play that Thursday night game and doink two. Oh, you're cut Friday morning. See you later.
Imagine drafting one in the second round.
Oh, don't do that. Don't even do that. Okay.
Well, Chiefs fans probably haven't thought about this in a while.
This is Super Bowl week, and he's atoned for his sins.
My goodness.
He has atoned for his sins. All right. So
Sebastian Janikowski. Oh no, that's right. It was not.
Yeah, let's not even talk about them. The Raiders. Okay, I don't know if you can see my screen. You probably can't see my screen, but I'm hoping you can.
I see the timer.
Okay, so you know what that means.
I think I do.
That means that it's time for the hot seat. And every special guest like yourself, we give them 10 questions, 60 seconds. I know you can do this. You've got this in the bag. So how this is going to work, I've got questions from the NFL, a lot of questions from Kansas City, but there may be one question from Tampa, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. But I'm going to ask you these questions because we know, based on what you've been talking about, that you've been following the NFL strategically, right?
Very much so. Very much so.
So this could be the AFC question, could be NFC questions.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the question first, and I will start the timer, and we'll go from there.
All right.
So first question, are you ready? I'm going to ask you if you're ready because I don't want you to think I'm cheating or anything like that.
Yeah, we're good here. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, here we go. Nick Chubb is the most important Cleveland Brown on the team, buy or sell?
Sell.
Tony Gonzalez is the greatest Chiefs tight end ever, buy or sell?
Sell.
Who really is on the hot seat, Doug Marrone or Matt Nagy?
Matt Nagy.
Steve DeBerg or Elvis Gerbach? Who do you got?
Holy crap. I guess Elvis because I watched him more.
All right, Bucs rookies. Who do you have? Austin Safari. Jesus. Antoine Winfield Jr. or Tristan Wirfs?
Oh goodness, probably Tristan Wirfs.
Dan Saliamua or Neil Smith? Who do you got?
Neil Smith.
Derek Carr. Who will he lead a team to the playoffs? Buy or sell?
To the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, is he still in Vegas? Buy, I guess.
Byron Leftwich has a head coach. Buy or sell?
Buy.
Kyler Murray and D-Hop or Allen and Diggs? Who you got?
Oh, give me Kyler and D-Hop just because I think Hopkins is better than Diggs, and I think Kyler and Josh are similar.
All right, I'm going to give you one more question because I kind of slid on that one question, but you missed it. Unfortunately, you didn't get it, but I'll go through the questions anyway. All right, who is your MVP for the Kansas City Chiefs right now? Is it Honey Badger or Tariq Hill?
Ooh, God, Badger. And it's
right.
only because Kelsey and Mahomes are on the offensive side of the football.
Exactly. Dude, I'm sorry. I fudged up on one of the questions. I apologize. But at the end of the day, you still wouldn't have got it anyway because of that MVP question.
Well, I will try to do better next time if I make it on again.
Listen, I want to have you back on again when we do get to the draft. Sure. Because I would love to hear your thoughts on, who Kansas City is going to get and the direction they're going to go. I think for me, with BucWhatYaHeard, we are trying to develop relationships with people from all 32 teams. And I think that you guys, your show is really good. I love your show, actually. Just listening to you guys, The Kingdom Says, Say It Again Network is incredible. I think what you guys have there is something that a lot of other networks don't have, and I like what you're doing.
We appreciate it because that's what we're trying to do is be a little bit different and give people some things that they probably haven't necessarily seen done before in this industry. So,
wow, you knew who Dan Saliamua was. That's what cracks me up about them.
Yeah. I've been watching for a long, long time, and I'm always been kind of a history kid, no matter what the sport is. Hockey, this will be weird because hockey's my main love. Being a kid from Midwest nowhere, Kansas.
Go Lightning.
Yeah.
Go Lightning. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, about that. Sure. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Fantastic franchise, fantastic team. Steve Yzerman, I watched his playing career in Detroit, and then what he came down and did with the GM spot, he's fantastic. But he's now back in Detroit doing Detroit things. However, that lineup is loaded. Tampa Bay is really good. I think they're probably going to make another run. You might see a defending option in that scenario this year, guys. So don't sleep on that. And also, this will be a weird little shout out, but we have a hockey podcast who I'm also one of my co-hosts is Locked On Lightning's Adam Dinker. So
Are you serious?
Yeah. First Line Pod over at SIA
Check that
Network.
out.
Yeah.
Please check that out, guys.
We're actually recording tonight right after this. So
nice. Hey, just real quick, I do want to shout out a friend of mine, Michelle Heaton. She passed away. She was a huge Kansas City Chiefs fan. And, again, like I said, I want my relationships with all 32 teams. I think it's important. Football, especially the NFL, is a microcosm of everything that's going on in the world. And, just developing friendships, regardless of what team you're on, except for Atlanta and Dallas. Fuck you guys. But the rest of the rest of you guys, I love it, man. I think it's great. And, you can learn a lot. Like tonight, talking with you, I've learned a lot. And I understand where the confidence comes from, as far as you guys, possibly repeating as Super Bowl champions. But I will say this. Don't sleep on Tampa, my friend.
Oh, no sleep. I'm really, really, as you guys probably have figured out, I'm super excited for this game. At the beginning, I talked about it, man.
I wish it was going on tomorrow. We need to hurry up and get here. I'm sitting at work right now, and I'm like looking up at the sky like, man, can the Super Bowl already be here?
Did you guys take Monday off?
Yeah, I have not yet, but I am going to. Yes, I
have flu-like.
Should be a national holiday. More people are up late Super Bowl Sunday than they are for Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Well, and it's weird this year. It's different this year. Does it feel like it's longer between the end and this?
Oh, well, we've never been here. We've never been invested.
Well, this is the thing, right?
Gene's been doing this for basically since in between the Bucs, spanning the playoffs of 2007.
So between Gruden using somebody else's roster and beating his old team with somebody else's roster,
and then doing exactly what he's doing in Vegas right now,
and then Arians coming in and actually doing some things. There's been so you got right on the back end of what was supposed to be Gruden taking everybody, and then I get it. Like I said, 50 years, man. Everybody's like, oh, the Chiefs, the NFL wants that storyline. I don't even want to. I'm so tired of hearing about the Chiefs who are picked by the NFL to win this game and that game. Do you have any idea? If you haven't looked through, go look up Chiefs playoff history. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Lynn Elliott.
Some great Super Bowl with one of the greatest defenses ever.
Look, a lot of healing. A lot of healing happened last year. A lot of healing. There are some names that are mentionable again in the kingdom. There are
Lynn Elliott.
Yeah, it's not Bill Buckner anymore, where you immediately get thrown out of whatever bar you're in the second you say his name. So, yeah, there's been some healing. Now, there's some people that are like, no, I can't ever forgive him. But a lot of the fan base that's been around has healed quite a bit with that last year. And also, you talked about the both perspectives. I love listening to it because it definitely gives us a different perspective. And maybe if you need to kill some time, maybe one of you comes on and we do a little opposite version on our show, and you get to debate maybe Garrett.
Hey, it would
get
be
my
fun.
co-host going.
Garrett's a maniac, though, man.
he's a lot of energy, man. He's great. Yeah, he makes me on my toes.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I hope this wasn't too painful coming on here and hanging out with the enemy.
Man, anytime. This was great. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I will simplify the questions for you next time so that you will have a chance to win.
All right. That's fine too. I'm good. I felt like I did okay, but I also felt like there's probably a couple that aren't going to love.
There was just pauses in there. You did great when you did answer.
You really did. Yeah, it's that MVP question is what got you, bro.
Yeah. It was like I was like, it's tough because
And you answered the Steve DeBerg, Elvis Gerbach question, which
pretty
really
quick. That surprised me.
I was expecting you to struggle with that one.
It's strictly Gerbach for me. I mean, I've watched them all and I saw it all, but like it's Gerbach for me because he was the first quarter. I actually had his jersey. God, I don't know why, but I was a kid and I did. I had his jersey. I swear to God, every time we got a quarterback, I'm, he's the quarterback. Oh, he's gone again.
As a Bucs fan, I've never bought a quarterback's jersey.
Did you have a Brad Johnson jersey? Does anybody have a Brad Johnson
Cadillac?
jersey?
No.
And I got Shaq now, but
actually, it was Michael Pittman, Mike Allstott, and
Mike Allstott. When I was a kid, Mike Allstott and Lynch were
Warren Sapp, Mike Allstott, and Rondé Barber are probably my three favorite. I mean, John Lynch are the three or four favorite Buccaneers of all time.
You've opened up this can of worms since you brought up my guy Rondé Barber. Why isn't he in the Hall of Fame?
I think he should be in over Lynch, and I love Lynch. Like
I have no explanation other than the fact that people pretend like that Tampa 2 scheme was why he was good, and it's just ridiculous because every defense in the NFL uses that scheme 20 years later in some fashion or another, and you don't hear anybody talk about that. It's the basis of
a lot of defenses.
Yeah, it's like Latin for a lot of defenses. It's
every
the base
high school
language.
team uses it.
Go look around the world. Most languages based out of Latin. It's the same thing with Tampa 2. Like that defense for the last 20 years has basically been like, you want to have a successful defense? Incorporate portions of this.
Yeah. And I cannot grasp why he's never why he should have been like first or second. I can understand second.
He hasn't been in the room in like 4 years.
Which makes no sense.
When you look at his statistics, I mean, the fact that he's number 7 in sacks in Tampa Bay history, number 1. The fact that he's got the most non-offensive touchdowns, and you're talking about Rod Woodson, your guy from Kansas City, who was the Hall? Was it Hall?
Dante Hall, throw up the X, baby, X factor.
Dante Hall, Rod Woodson, and there's one more. And
Devin Hester.
Think about this. Those 4 guys were kick returners.
Mm-hmm.
Rondé Barber was not a freaking kick returner.
Nope.
This guy was strictly defense.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's not even mentioned. Well, let me say this. I'm going to say this. And I know this may rub people the wrong way, but you have to have the right guy in the Hall of Fame voting to help these players get in. We've got a jackass.
Can I do a rendition of him?
Yeah.
So this is Rondé Barber. He had 25 sacks. He had a couple hundred tackles. He is willing to tackle and was a stable in a all-time defensive front.
Yep. Sound like Floyd Mayweather. He
literally read from a screen, didn't even look at the camera.
He read
during
from
his presentation.
He read from a fucking screen. He didn't even there was no emotion. No, nothing. This clown,
Ira Coffin, if you ever want to look it up.
Yeah, my God.
Please go out on YouTube and look it up.
I imagine that's how Chiefs fans felt listening to Joe Buck call Damian Williams' ceiling touchdown run last year. Because
God, how is Joe Buck? Isn't he in like some Hall of Fame for announcing?
Well, his dad is. His dad's an awesome.
No, Joe got in.
He just got in this year.
Yeah. But Joe is. Kansas City hates Joe Buck. In case anybody's curious, Joe Buck had a love affair with Madison Bumgarner in the 2014 World Series, I think it was, where basically if he could
7 games in a row.
Well, right, but if he could say Bumgarner, like it was a drinking game. Like how many times is Joe Buck going to say Bumgarner in the games Madison Bumgarner is not actually playing in? And it was an over-under of like 15, and it was the over every time. So it started there, and then it progressed, and then Troy Aikman said, talk to me when you have 33% of my Super Bowls to a certain Kansas City radio host, which if you're not familiar with that, it's a whole bit. It got a lot of run last year on Fox. Troy Aikman basically he got called out by a sports radio host in Kansas City, Sports Radio 810. They don't pay me for squat. JB Briscoe, he's the head of Arrowhead Report, SI. He's a good dude. he's got some good guys over there working with him too. Jordan Foote, Tucker, all those guys. But he had the Troy Aikman conversation, and Troy said he made a comment about Troy a lot. Like this was before we got anywhere close, and it was talk to me when he's got 33% of my Super Bowls. Well, fast forward to February 5th last year. Old takes exposed, Kansas City Chiefs style. I can't imagine, and it got run on the broadcast because Fox reached out and did like a special on it and how Troy felt about it. Like they were talking about it while the Chiefs were finishing putting away the Niners. So pair that with the fact that Joe Buck sounded like he couldn't give a damn less that Damian Williams was wrapping up the first franchise Super Bowl in 50 years. Meanwhile, listening to that goofball called Brady Patriots Super Bowls, like he couldn't wait to jump downstairs with Brady.
But we get Tony Romo this year.
Oh, I can't wait, especially with these two guys, because I hate that we don't get traditional media week because you don't get to see, like they're going to do the Zoom call with the quarterbacks and whatnot, but putting Tony Romo in a room with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, can I just have a fly on the wall? I don't even care if we record it.
They should put that on prime time on ESPN.
Instead, they had Kay, and this is no knock against Kay Adams. She's very good at what she does on GMFB in the morning on the NFL Network. But they put Kay Adams in the room with the two of them and let her ask him questions. Let her ask him questions. And she's really good at it. They do it all the time, and that's fine. But if you give me the option to pick between Kay Adams and Tony Romo with those two in a room, Jesus, just give them a whiteboard and a Zoom camera, and I don't even want to be. Nobody has to talk. Say nothing.
And the thing is, he's not been wrong. I heard somebody complaining about him. I'm like, listen to what this guy, he's educating you.
He's the only person who said these two teams were going to be in the Super Bowl, and he got laughed at, and people were putting that all over social media.
And he said it in week 12 when they were playing.
Exactly.
Like I would be straight up with your guys' fan base. I picked New Orleans at the beginning of the season strictly because
they have the best roster top to bottom.
For a couple reasons. That's one of them. Also, I don't typically like to pick against Tom Brady just because I've learned my lesson in being in the AFC for 20 years now. I don't typically like picking against him. But if I told you, what ESPN 30 for 30, what if I told you? In a pandemic with no, other than the fact that we'll ignore the illegal training camp practices happening in
parks. It happened in my high school. It happened in my high school. Shout out Berkeley Prep.
Like I said, do whatever you got to do. I get it. Tom's never really played by the rules. That's a New England characteristic. They're good at that. Yeah, shots fired. I don't care. The Patriots are the Patriots. Hey, what's the phrase? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. All right, fine, whatever.
I got a flag football upstairs too, so there.
Yeah, exactly. If I would have told you in August that you'd be in the Super Bowl after being 7-5 and basically having no OTAs with a fresh quarterback and a roster and all the injuries and all the other stuff, you two would look at me like I was an alien.
Basically.
And yet,
this is true.
We are.
Yep. And I'm going to say this: I was indifferent when Tom Brady came in. I wanted to see what he could do. I was in the mindset, let's see 6 games. I want to see what he can do.
We've made a habit, and when I say we, I mean like everyone on the planet outside of New England has made a habit of going, well, he's 40, fill in the last portion of that. He's got to be done now.
No, he made a liar out of everybody.
Now, eventually, no amount of plastic touch-ups and avocado ice cream and stuff is going to help you. Eventually, Father Time wins. Eventually. But I think I'm to the point with Brady, and it's weird because, God, I hated him for so long. And I don't really – it wasn't that I hated him. It's kind of like I didn't hate Duncan, and I didn't hate Robinson, and I didn't hate them. I didn't like Popovich. I don't hate Brady, and I don't hate Moss, and I didn't hate Vrabel. I don't like Belichick. And I don't like their fan base. Brady, him getting on social media and being like a person, because forever he was a cyborg.
He's so good on social media. I had no clue. I hated
cyborg.
him.
He was a cyborg for 20 years in New England. Everybody thought he was a freaking robot and an ass. Guess what? He's funny. He's
not even just funny. He's fun. Him and Gronk are just, they have little segments on Tampa Bay or Buccaneers.com where they're just chilling on a beach setting, like shooting shit, like laying back.
And Gronk, man, and that was the one dude in New England where I was like, I can't hate that dude. Like,
you can't be mad at him.
The only reason I ever got to the point where I was done with it is because I just got tired of hearing about, well, Travis Kelce can't block as well, so he's not as good as a tight end. Like, stop. Okay. Look, man, you asked me the question about the greatest tight end in Chiefs history, and I said no to Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah,
that's because
I was kind of hurt by that.
I'm sorry. I love Tony. I had an original Gonzalez jersey. I have since updated it because the first one was worn out and wearing away. All that noise. But Tony Gonzalez agrees with me. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in Chiefs history. And another 18 months or another 5 days, and we may be having a conversation about all time.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, and again, Travis Kelce does have the hardware to go with the pedigree that he has. So, yeah, I totally get that. I really believe if Tony Gonzalez had gone to anywhere other than Atlanta, fuck you guys too, it would have just been, I think he would have went to a team where he could have potentially vied for a Super Bowl championship, or just stayed in Kansas City. It's possible. Anything's possible because that guy is just a freaking monster when he was out there on the field. So, yeah.
And where I don't think Kelce gets enough credit in the all-time talk is because he's also playing with George Kittle right now, and Zach Ertz had a nice little run there where he was a dominant tight end, and Tony Gonzalez was in an era of his own.
Yeah,
and I think that's where people skew the scale. I think the moment Travis Kelce gets one more receiving yard than Tony Gonzalez, I think that argument just goes out the window.
It's really hard for me to think he's going to get there, though. If you go look at those numbers.
Hard. But with Mahomes, he's still got Mahomes for like 5 years.
Yeah, I know. But, okay, so here's my thing with Kelce, because this is a huge topic, because Gronk and Kelce, I know y'all are watching all the Super Bowl coverage. I legitimately don't have enough hours in the day to keep track of all the crap that is coming out with the quotes and the videos so Gronk and Travis, their back and forth was basically a bro love festamance. Like, it was the strangest
game recognizes game, bro.
Yeah, and to hear Gronk go, yeah, Travis Kelce's changed the tight end position forever. That should tell you a lot of the things that you need to go. And for Kelce, when answering the question about Gronk, he said, no, man, mad respect. He's one of the best to ever do it. But this is a little bit personal because we've never beaten him. And I've played him a couple times, and I haven't had that opportunity. And look, man, we talked about it way back. Everybody knows what is in this game. You're talking about deciding guys as Hall of Fames or not. There are guys on both sides, and for Brady, and Mahomes, it's the GOAT conversation. For guys like Jason Pierre-Paul, for guys like Honey Badger, for guys like Chris Jones, for guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and you've got Levante David, and you got these guys. This game, it's going to determine who some of these guys get voted into the Hall of Fame or not.
100%.
And we talked about Rondé. I think the Rondé thing is because his brother was Tiki. I swear to God, that's the only thing I can think of at this point for why that man does not get the love, respect, and the rec he deserves. And it's silly.
And I appreciate you bringing that all up, man. Thank you so much. I mean, you are somebody that objectively looks at some of these other players, and that's greatly appreciated. Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I know you guys have other stuff to do. We're going to get back to enjoying Super Bowl week. Kyle, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, my friend.
On my Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, KThen16 on pretty much all the socials. My name is obviously my Facebook page because I had Facebook for too long to do all that. Kingdom Says Pod for all the Chiefs content / whatever on that front. The Say It Again Network, we've got, you mentioned it, man. I appreciate the shout out. We've got everything. Video games, board games, NFL, NHL, NBA, politics, reality. Well, I think we have politics. If not, there's one on the way. I can't remember. We got so much stuff going on. We've got an NFL draft show, which I'm kind of giving you guys a little bit of a spoil on. We're working on big time. It's going to be large. There's charity involved. It's going to be a big deal. So we might be in touch about that front with the draft, and we talk about that a little bit. Check us out at the Say It Again Network. Like I said, if you want hockey content, we talked a little bit of Tampa Bay tonight, Lightning, a little bit. First Line Pod, SIA First Line is the handle. Come check us out, man. We got all kinds of stuff. And you got teams, you got sports, whether, like I said, MLB, NHL, you name it, we've got people covering it. And there's a lot of really, really, really talented people over there. So
here we go. I love that. You know what? I want to say
First Line is the handle. Come check us out, man.
I do want to say this real quick. To anybody that is a Chiefs fan, you got to follow this guy. You really do. I will be very disappointed. I wish I could go and check and make sure everybody's doing it. All these supposed Chiefs fans that I hadn't seen from years before, but now you're seeing them now. You guys better go and subscribe to my guy here, Kyle. They do a great job. I even posted. I posted on my Facebook page your the last video that you had, only because you mentioned me, of course. But
of course, we got to give the count out. We had to tell people we were coming on so they come get the other perspective, just like we tried to bring to this. So.
And that's what's important right now. This is a Super Bowl. This is a game that we will not be able to talk about or see again until next year. So I think it's important that people get both sides of this. This is really going to be an exciting game. I like the lineup. I like the quarterbacks. I like the defenses. And this is just going to be a good game. I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you got Hall of Fame talent on both levels, on both sides of the ball. And it's like your defensive line is a lot of names. And some of those guys are still in their prime. And some of those guys are on the latter half that are looking for the thing that finishes their legacy. And there's guys on the other side of the ball that are at that same moment. So it's like, and you've seen, there's not been much bulletin board. So, man, I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready to see this game. I know you guys are. So thank you again for having me on. And like I said, maybe we can work something out. Maybe y'all come visit us for something.
I'm always welcome to. We're welcome to. KB, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Let me get your final thoughts, bro.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Bucs_Barrett. My final thoughts: this game will not determine a GOAT.
Ooh,
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. You don't think Mahomes can catch him with the loss?
No. I'm saying it's not the determinant of the GOAT. Like Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to win this game in order to have the all-time GOAT conversation. If Patrick Mahomes wins 7 and Tom Brady wins 6,
but this would be 7.
I mean. Well, no, but I'm saying I'm just saying in overall.
I just that's an interesting thing that we didn't really get to. That maybe we'll do that here. Spoiler: if they come on ours later this week, we may get into this.
Yeah, I'm just gonna end that final thought just by saying Mahomes has changed the quarterback position forever. Tom Brady's just done amazing, great things. We'll see what happens in Patrick Mahomes' career, and we'll see how long Tom Brady plays. We'll see if he can bring Tampa back. Like, there's a lot of stuff that can happen. We don't know.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
That's what I mean. Let's run it back next year. Like, I don't care, win or lose. Let's do it. I don't care.
It could happen.
Chiefs Kingdom's fine with the running back tour. We already got the hashtag.
Exactly.
We'll just put a 2 at the end of it.
Exactly. You guys can be the Warriors, and we'll be Cleveland with LeBron. We don't care. We'll take one. Just give us one. That's all I said.
We can take 3 or 4 if you get one. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll take it.
There we go. I'm good with whatever right now. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking us out. Again, Bucs fans, Chiefs fans, thank you for taking time to check us out. That's greatly appreciated. We will be back next week to discuss the aftermath of whatever happens on Sunday. But Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. I think, like I mentioned earlier, this is what makes the NFL incredible, is getting somebody from another team to come on, getting a different perspective outside of what everybody else is looking at. This is what I really love about the NFL. And like right now, where we are this close to the Super Bowl, and it's going to be an incredible game one way or the other. I'm looking forward to it. My ribs, brisket, whatever else we may have, we're going to have fun with this. And
you're talking Kansas City people's language.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, a lot of Tampa fans. Shout out to
I'm
our
that
friends over at
outlier.
Loose Cannons. They're on a barbecue ban for
You-
2 weeks.
Fuck that. Fuck a band, man. We're gonna eat some barbecue. We're gonna do that. Loose Cannons. Yeah, hey, y'all do what
Yeah, I
y'all.
went a week without cheese, man. That was the worst week
I'm
ever.
going till 2022 without beer. So think about that, bro. That's just where we are. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking us out. And we're going to go ahead and roll out of here. And I'm going to let you get back to your week. Appreciate you.
Here come the captain of the ship.